everyone, and welcome once again to your very own channel Easy and Effortless Economics. In the last video we have talked about Finance Commission. So today we'll be discussing about Planning Commission. There is a vast difference between the two, but there are certain confusions that exist, and at times you find it quite similar, but there is a difference between the two. So today we'll be discussing Planning Commission in detail. We will be covering like meaning of Planning Commission, then functions of Planning Commission, what is the need for Planning Commission and how it transforms Planning Commission to Niti Ayog, and then we'll be discussing the major areas which Planning Commission covers, and after that the last part will be about the 12 5-year plans that basically Planning Commission deals with, and it is based on which model that we'll be discussing. So in this video this is all we are going to cover. So without any delay, let's start the lecture. First, let's understand what is Planning Commission. See, this is an institution where the government formulates 5-year plans. The plans are constituted for 5 years with the objective. Like for every 5 years, there is certain themes like based on agriculture, eradication of poverty or whatever. So accordingly, it works. So it says Planning Commission is an institution in the government of India which formulates India's 5-year plans among other functions. And ex officio chairman is the Prime Minister. Prime Minister has the right to be appointed at the topmost position, and the commission has also a nominated deputy chairman who is given the rank of a full cabinet minister. So this is a brief introduction of Planning Commission. Now let's have a look at the number of members. When we talk about Planning Commission, we have 8 members. The first is Prime Minister, which is followed by 4 full-time ministers, and the other 3 ministers are Minister of Planning, Finance and Defense. Then it says the Planning Commission of India was set up for the first time in March 1950 with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as its chairman, and it has 8 members like we discussed. Now let's have a look at the areas of functioning of Planning Commission. It says it works on policy planning, sectoral planning, program planning, project planning, and then after planning it comes to evaluation of plans and their impact on economic development, 5-year plan, poverty reduction strategy, preparation of ADP and appraisal of projects. So basically the purpose of Planning Commission is to plan out the policies, sectoral planning, projects in such a manner that it is executed in a right manner, and after that it assesses the impact of these implemented plans. Now what are the reasons? So what is the need for having a Planning Commission? See, when we talk about Planning Commission, there are a number of factors responsible. So we can say political, economical, social, cultural and technological. So when we talk about political, it was the instability. In 1950, when it was constituted, at that time there was instability due to partition. So it was realized that there should be a need for Planning Commission. Then we have economical factors like growth rate was very low, per capita income was low, agriculture was absolutely going down. So this was the factors on economical ground for which it requires the implementation of a policy. Then socio-cultural includes your poverty, literacy rate, higher population, and technological means obsolete and outdated technology. So all this lead to the formation of Planning Commission. Now how does the journey change from Planning Commission to Niti Ayog? See, we know that in the year 1950, under the chairmanship of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Planning Commission was constituted. Now, in the year 2014, on 15th of August, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that the Planning Commission would be shut down and a new committee will be constituted, that would be Niti Ayog, that is National Institute for Transforming India. So it says, and after that the transition in the Indian constituency, or you can say Indian economy, was seen from the 5-year plans to the 15-year vision, 7-year strategy and 3-year action plan. This was the agenda on which the Planning Commission was changed to Niti Ayog. See, when Planning Commission was renamed as Niti Ayog, there must be certain factors or there must be certain advancements, there must be certain benefits. So now let's have a look at what is the difference between the journey from Planning Commission to Niti Ayog. So now Niti Ayog has the power to allocate funds might be vested in Finance Ministry. If you talk about Planning Commission, they have the power to allocate funds to ministries and state government. If you talk about full-time members, so the number of members in Niti Ayog is less as compared to Planning Commission, where they have 8 members. Here Niti Ayog has less members. When we talk about states role, so the role of states were more significant when Niti Ayog came into force. The role of states were more highlighted, and for Planning Commission the role of states were limited. If you talk about member secretary, so the to be known as the CEO and to be appointed by the Prime Minister. So member secretary in Niti Ayog was appointed by Prime Minister. And if you talk about Planning Commission, here secretaries or member secretaries were appointed through the usual process. And here for Niti Ayog, they have an option of part-time members depending upon the requirement. But for Planning Commission, there is no clause like part-time members, only full-time members. So this is the major change in the journey from Planning Commission to Niti Ayog. What are the main areas that were basically discussed? See, when we talk about Planning Commission, we consider that is only focusing on agriculture and it's only focusing on industrial development. But no, there are diverse factors which they take into consideration. So let's have a look at where variety of planning and development proposals that are being considered by Planning Commission. So they have subdivision and land development, sewage facilities, stormwater management, food plain management, general plans, comprehensive plans. Means all these areas were covered. Specific plans, zoning codes and subdivision, development, zoning variances, land acquisition, special studies, citizen planning, education. So these were the areas which were covered under Planning Commission. So this is all about Planning Commission, the constitution, how it came into existence, who all are the members, what is the function, what is the need for Planning Commission, and what is the change that has came into Planning Commission when it is renamed as Niti Ayog. Now we'll be coming to another important part that you will find if you are appearing for any of the exams. This is one of the most important topic, which is 5-year plans. These plans were made for 5 years, but what happened after every 5 year the plan changes, but it is based on certain models. It has certain highlights. So in this video I'll be covering a brief description of each of the plan, but if you want me to take up any of the plans in detail, just write it in the comment box. I will cover that as well. But I have a plan to cover 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th in detail in the coming videos, because these topics are very important from the perspective of your examination or any competitive exam that you are appearing for. Here we have a list where we have certain categories. We have divided or make a chart. 5-year plan, the time interval, who was the chairman, targeted GDP and what was I actually achieved, and then it was based on which model. So let's talk about the first 5-year plan. The Planning Commission was constituted in 1950, but the actual working or operation starts from 51-56 under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. This was the first plan. It was targeted that they will be reaching GDP at 2.1, but they achieved higher, more than 1.5 than the targeted. So they achieved 3.6 and it was based on the Harry-Domar model. Second was from the year 1956 to 61. Jawaharlal Nehru was the chairman. This time the targeted was 4.5 and the achieved was almost there, 4.27, and it was based on Mahalanobis model. Third 5-year plan, which was again for 5 years, 1961 to 66, and under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. This time there was a change in the targeted was 5.6, but it was an absolute failure. So only 2.4 was achieved. It was based on the model of Sukhomoy Chakravarti and Professor John Sandy. So after the failure of the third plan, which was a major failure, as you can see, 5.6 to 2.4 was only achieved. So then for 3 years government declared plan holiday, because they have to come out of that scenario. They have to mitigate the losses they have suffered. So for that period they declared plan holiday after third plan, and the reason was the failure of third plan. So it was from 1966 to 19 69. After that, after a gap of 3 years, means the plan holidays, so no plans were there. It was just mitigating the losses and the effect of the third 5-year plan that was a big failure. Then fourth 5-year plan came into existence in 69. It was 1969 to 74 under the chairmanship of Indira Gandhi, and it wasn't that successful. 5.7 was targeted but achieved just the half, 3.5, and it was based on the Ashok Rudra Menon model. So because each of the plan has certain models, so these models here I'm just sharing the highlights. If you want, I can come up with the models in detail. If you want, just let me know. Then coming to the fifth plan. Fifth plan was from 1974 to 78. Indira Gandhi headed this plan as well, and here the targeted was 4.4, and they achieved. Here they achieve, as you can see, 4.83, and it was based on which model? It was based on Dhar model. So this was the fifth plan. After this plan, there was rolling plan. What was the purpose of rolling plan? This was again for 2 years. The purpose for rolling plan is to realize that what all things have been happening, just to recognize the rolling plan. The purpose of the rolling plan is to review what has been happened. So after fifth 5-year plan, the rolling plan was constituted, and this rolling plan was based on Gunner Medal model. Then again we have sixth plan from 80 to 85. Indira Gandhi was the chairman, and here it achieved more than it was targeted. It was targeted at 5.2, but it achieved 5.5. Seventh plan was again for next 5 years, 85 to 90. Rajiv Gandhi was the chairman. 5.0 was targeted and achieved. The achievement was higher. It was 6.02. Again, then eighth plan was from 1992 to 97, and the chairman was P.V. Narasimha Rao. Here it was. Now the situation has started improving. As you can see, they targeted 5.6 but achieved 6.8, and it wasn't based on any model. It was a general plan which is covering basic almost all the areas. Ninth plan, it was from 1997 to 2002 under the chairmanship of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, where the targeted was 6.5 but only 5.6 was achieved. Then we came to the 10th plan, which was from 2002 to 2007. Here the chairmanship was of two people, Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh, and 8.0 was targeted and the achieved was almost there. GDP was almost there, 7.6. Then 11th and 12th plan, as you can see, 11th plan was from 2011 to 2007 to 2012 under the chairmanship of Manmohan Singh, and there was I believe that they will be achieving 9.0, but they achieved almost there, but 8 they achieved. Then it is based on the C. Rangarajan model. Then 12th 5-year plan, if you talk about, Manmohan Singh was the chairman, and it was from 2012 to 2017. The targeted was 8.0 and the achievement was less than that, 7.6. So and it wasn't based on any specific model. It's just like that. It is covering all the general areas. So these were the 12 models, 12 5-year plan that have been constituted. In between we have one plan holiday after third plan. We have rolling plan, which was based on Gunner Medal model, which was after fifth plan. Right now we are running into 13th 5-year plan, which will be which has started from 2017 and which will be completed on 2022. The next means what was the targeted and how much it achieved. All these things were about to be compiled and coming up. So this is how these plans work. So for your understanding, this is just an outline of the 5-year plan. This is an outline about how Planning Commission or Niti Ayog works. So I hope all these concepts were clear to you. These things are very important to you from the perspective of any of the competitive exam or from the perspective of your own learning. So with this, I guess I will be concluding it today. If you want me to cover up any of the commission, if you want me to cover commissions in detail, if you want me to cover plans in detail, just write it to me in chat box or comment to me, so that I'll be covering all this in the coming lectures. So that's all for the day from my side. I hope you all have a great learning, great time, and you all have a great week ahead. That's all from my side. Thank you everyone. Stay blessed.